Hey folks, it's Sam, and I'm here talking today about the sun in Leo. The sun's going to be going through Leo at the same time that he goes through Leo every year, around August 15th, 16th, for about 30 days. Of course, that's sidereal zodiac. And we're going to be talking about that fiery sun in Leo and how to get the most out of that cycle. Now you can see there scrolling at the bottom, I have a link to a web class where you just go to a website and look at this web class on the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio that's coming up. That shift to nodes in with Rahu in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio is going to be happening. It's going to start on September 19th until and it'll go until March 16th, 2022. It's a long transit, and it's going to be affecting everyone differently. And especially you'll learn the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio for you and all the 12 different signs, because it's different. If you're a Pisces, then this is happening in your 3rd and 9th houses. Very different than if you're on, Leo, where it's happening in your 10th and 4th houses. So I go over all of that. I also do a great overview of the last time that the nodes are in Taurus and Scorpio. This coincided with the last Gulf War, with the last SARS, like we had the SARS virus with the Human Genome Project, other things. Very important historical transit of the nodes through Taurus with Rahu in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio. Also, I talk about each of the nakshatras with the nodes going through Taurus and Scorpio on those nakshatras. For example, Rahu enters in Mrigashira, then it goes into Rohini, then it goes into Kritika. Ketu enters as it passes through the Gandanta section. It starts in Jeshta, then it goes to Anuradha, then it goes to Vishaka. So I talk about each of those shifts. Then the eclipses that are going to happen during the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. That's going to bring out eclipse cycles starting with the end of this year, December 24th. I think that was the date, or maybe 14th. That first one in Scorpio is going to happen. Again, that's just in a few months. And then remedies, practical and practices for this time. The nodes bring a collective sort of anxiety and opportunity, both. So I'm going to talk about those and a lot more. So again, all you need to do is you just click this. You can either watch the instant replay or register and get sent the link to the instant replay, or you can register for the next several days, those times. But so this is not something that you're going to want to miss. You're really going to want to take advantage of the of the situation where what's going on, where we where you learn about this transit of the nodes through the different, through Taurus and Scorpio. Sorry. So let's look at this movement of the sun. You see, I'm recording this here on August 13th. And if we move forward, this is let's bring it over here. If we move forward, August 14th, August 15th, so by the time we get into the 16th, the sun goes into Leo. And of course, this is sidereal zodiac, sidereal Leo. It's these sections of the sky. And of course, that has to do with the Earth's orbit around the sun. And so it's until like September 16th. And so it's basically the orbit of the Earth around the sun, which means that the constellation of Leo is behind the sun at this time, will be at this time. Now, this is the place where the sun is the king, right? And he enters in Magha Nakshatra. Magha is the nakshatra, again, of Leo, the first section of Leo. And again, you can really see how this is pinned to the sidereal zodiac. This is one of the most obvious, because again, that nakshatra of Leo, or that first nakshatra in Leo, Magha, literally has to do with the divine ancestors. And the symbol is literally like a royal seat, like the throne upon which the king sits. That's literally the symbol. So again, if you're not using sidereal zodiac and you're saying, oh, well, we're supposed to use tropical zodiac, then the king or the seat that the king is supposed to be sitting on is now in the sign of Virgo, if you're using tropical zodiac. Of course, that's not correct. And of course, they knew the difference. That's why in every Vedic astrology text, they said Ashwini and Aries anchor the zodiac. So that means that by the time you get to this section, you have Magha, the nakshatra, and Leo, the Rashi, right? And the king on the throne. Issue solved. That's the end of it. So that's those first 12 days, literally, because the sun moves a degree every day. That's what we're measuring. And so those first 12 days, so until, boom, like right there on the 29th, again, so from like the middle of the 16th to like the end of the 29th, 12 degrees and 30 minutes. So it's, I'm sorry, 13 degrees, 20 minutes. Sorry, 13 days. It's tricky because the moon moves 12 degrees, 30 minutes, and nakshatras are 13 degrees, 20 minutes. So about 13 days. And so from the 16th to like the 29th, right? That makes sense. It's in Magha Nakshatra. Now, again, when the sun is in Leo, it brings out that fiery royal quality. And you have to understand that's what the sun is. The sun is not, the sun is not Mars. The sun isn't in there fighting and doing battle. Mars is the general of the army. Mars is the one who's fighting. Mars is the one who says fight. The king is the one who has the vision to look out into the kingdom and direct the action and have a long-term vision. The king says, no, don't fight this battle, maybe fight that one, or, because the king isn't down in the trenches. The king is up above looking over. The Lord, he has dominion over the domain, right? And he has that providence or the responsibility to provide for the kingdom. So you want to understand this because people get these things confused. They're like, well, they're fiery, Mars, fiery, battling, sun, fiery, battling. The sun is not fiery, battling. The king doesn't battle. At least he shouldn't. If a king is battling, he's a dictator and he's not a very good king. A king is delegating. If he's a good king, again, he has the vision. Part of the vision for the kingdom is a battle. But the other part of the vision for the kingdom is, again, nurturing and taking care and leadership and guidance and delegation and all like that. The king has, it's the consistent fire, the consistent purpose. The sun is Sattvic planet. Leo is a Sattvic sign, which means he's looking out for the larger picture. And he's bringing the fire to give vision, not to give battle. Mars brings the fire to fight, to destroy what's not making us strong. So Mars brings the fire, most importantly, into every immediate situation. When I talk about Mars, this is why I distinguish Mars as being disciplined, because discipline happens every moment. And Mars is that choice in the moment, like with your physical body. Mars is like that visceral animal energy. Right now, when you get up and start walking around, that's Mars. And that's why if someone gets in your way and blocks your path, you immediately get irritable, because that's Mars, and Mars is in the moment. And the moment to say, this is right, so I'm going to do the right thing, or I don't have the discipline to do the right thing. And I'm not willing to suffer for my principles because it's too hard to do the right thing. So when Mars is strong, well, we're willing to do what's hard, and as long as it's right. The sun is very different energy. I'm just making the distinction between Mars and the sun because the sun isn't down there fighting the battle. Just like, as it relates to your physical body, Mars is like your immune system. Because what your immune system does is something comes in and it fights it, it battles it. The sun isn't your immune system, it's your vitality, your overall energy. In general, how much energy do you have? How much vitality is in your body? Like the sun is the vitality for everything. Part of it is the immune system, but it's for it's for many other things as well. It's for your reproductive system, your circulatory system. It's vitality. So the sun gives that overall energy and overall vitality. to have a capacity to even fight, or a capacity to, have a strong immune system. You don't have a strong immune system if you don't have a lot of vitality, if all of your energy, and it's important to talk about even now in these times of COVID, very important to understand, you're not going to have a strong immune system if you don't have a lot of vitality already, which means if you're not eating food that gives you vitality, then you're not going to have a strong immune system. First, you need a lot of vitality. You need a lot of prana and energy and strength moving through your body. Then the immune system is ready when necessary to go in there and go bam and go after something that makes you sick. But if your vitality and energy, which is shown by the sun and Agni and the fire, is always spent like digesting food, or like it takes you forever to digest your food because your food is full of impurities and antibiotics, like if you're eating a lot of meat or whatever, and it's pulling down your vitality and your energy, then all of that vitality and energy in your body to run your kingdom is already so low. So you don't have any capacity. If something comes in like a little bug, a little virus or something, you don't have any reserve. You don't have vitality and fire and Agni, which is the god of fire in Indian thinking. Your Agni is already low. So it's easier for that thing to take you down, just like a kingdom, just like a government, just like a business, like anything. So these are all qualities of the sun. That's why I'm talking about it this way. So the sun and moon have those kind of overall tendencies and qualities. The sun so when we talk about a kingdom, again, it's a metaphor for just a place of centralized power. Right? It could be in your body. Again, I just give like 5 examples. It can be the government, the king, but it could also be a business. It's the power center in your life, your family. That's why Leo is very related to family as well, especially the first nakshatra of Magha. When you think about the king, think about what a king is. A king is not elected. It's not a president. A king is given a kingdom. It's conferred upon him. We're all born into a situation and given a place and given a certain amount of power by our lineage. And in the Indian sense, it's a very important thing. Your heritage and your family and this is your karma. Your karma was to be born in those circumstances. It's not insignificant. It's very important. And a lot of that lineage is also Magha Nakshatra. Again, you have to realize, and you have to bring these symbols into something that's real and normal. To say a king, it's like, well, how does that relate to me? I'm not a king and whatever. You are a king of something. You have a certain domain you have a certain power over something. You inherited something in this lifetime. Now, again, maybe it doesn't feel like a king in relation to other powerful people, but you got a certain amount of power and you have a certain domain. And there's a seat waiting for you where you are powerful. Maybe it's not as much as you would like. Maybe you don't feel so empowered in it, but it's there. And much of it was, and a certain amount was conferred to you at birth. Again, look at how important the family we were born into determines our life, right? Now, of course, many of us never outlive our destiny, outlive our, upbringing, but we're here to then create our kingdom and see that we're not just a product of our family, our ancient lineage, but that our true family is found in the Pitris, in the divine ancestors. That's why this first nakshatra, Magha, the deity is the divine ancestors, the Pitris and the great rishis and sages that transcend your lineage in this lifetime. Again, this is one of the first things we're here to do in this lifetime, is outlive the legacy of our family and what our family had in mind for us and how your family sees you. Some people never do. Some people live their whole life trying to please daddy or something, or mommy, or whatever it is, and they never outlive it. because they never find higher teachings. They just adopt the teachings of their family, their past, their culture, and that's what they do. And that was all just given to you. You didn't do anything to earn that. Your spiritual family, your spiritual lineage, your spiritual teachings, your higher wisdom, you have to create. Then you're really a king, because that's the royal path to higher consciousness and your transcendent self, which is really what the sun rules beyond your physical vitality, your physical body, your individuality. The sun is ultimately the Paramatman, the supreme self, the real source of power in life and within you. That's beyond this birth and beyond this incarnation and beyond this localized physical body. Again, I started talking about it. It's the vitality in the body by comparison to Mars, which would be like the immune system. But the sun is the vitality to vitalize everything. But that's just on the physical level. Then again, of course, that's a psychological structure as well. You up-level it from the physical body, and it's also your mind to illuminate your mind, right? And your consciousness. And Mars is the thing that maybe defends your ideas or defends the kingdom that you're building in, inside and internally through on like a psychological, worldly level, not just a physical level. But then in the highest sense, it's that which is beyond this mind and body. And on that highest level of consciousness, the sun is supreme. It's the king. It's that oneness of light that connects us all. So you want to understand this, very profound. Your connection to the divine sun and my connection to the divine sun is exactly the same thing. There is no two. We're united as one in that oneness of light. That ocean of light is without distinction. It's without distinction on that causal level. So when you talk about Sankhya philosophy, which is the philosophy of yoga and Indian thinking, Ayurveda and whatnot, the one of the sun, the oneness of the sun is not this physical body in this world. That's not one. That's already two. That's already duality. That's already oneness mixed with karma, which comes from the moon, and mind, and duality. That's already Purusha and Prakriti mixed together, is what the Sanskrit words are. Purusha is the undifferentiated self. It's not yourself and myself. It's self, which is not separate. It's not local, experiential, body, psychological. That oneness is, there's only one of them. Not your one and my one. Right? That's the cosmic sun. That's the Shiva. That's pure, unembodied consciousness, wisdom, light. Then it mixes with Prakriti through our karma and our ideas and our understanding, again, still on the causal level before anything has taken form yet, just psychologically. And again, you can understand this in your mind as well, because there's a part of you that's not physical, that you can perceive what I'm saying on a metaphysical level, where there's undifferentiated self, and then it mixes with these ideas about separation and, oh, I'm these emotions and feelings and actions, and then that produces a body and a form. So that's the sun, moon, and ascendant. But the sun is that pure power, that pure light beyond. And when it goes into Leo, it connects with then the king of all is on the throne. He's on the throne. He's where he wants to be, more than any other place, even more than Aries. The exaltation point is Aries, but exalted is a little different thing. Where the planet really likes to be is in its own house, in its own place. Just like you like to be in your own place more than anything. The exalted place, like the sun is exalted in Aries, it's almost kind of like, you might say, a little bit better than your own place to some extent. Like, let's say you go to a luxury hotel and everyone waits on you and you don't even have to get up and do anything. It's like even another level higher. Well, that's good. And you might say it's a little bit better, quote, on some level. You have servants at your beck and call to do whatever you want or something. Okay. But really the place where the power is very grounded is in its own sign, when planets are in their own sign. So here the king is on the throne. And that first 1320 is Magha Nakshatra, where king is on the throne. He's been given his birthright. And as it relates to us, we have to connect with the true source of power and our true birthright, which is as a divine being from all of this spirit, as an emanation of spirit, taken form and coming down into this realm of karma and distinction, trying to navigate our way back to that state of oneness. So the sun is that part of you. So you want to see all these astrological concepts as different qualities of your nature. It's not stuff up there doing stuff to you down here. There's me in this body, and then there's stuff up there. Oh, yeah, astrology, I'm learning about how all that stuff affects me, this separate person. Try to get all of that out of your head as much as possible. As much as you can get all that out of your head, the better astrology you'll understand, not just astrology, but your life and yourself much better. Because that's the problem with everything. You think you're this being, you think you're this separate creature. And everything outside is influencing you, and there's you, and then there's all this stuff out here. None of that is the real. The real thing is all of that is karma. That whole idea is that morass of attachment and illusion. So the sun is where we really are trying to connect directly with that and see through all of this stuff. That's why I'm talking about this so intentionally, because the sun is that pure light that is trying to see through all of this. Now, again, we're also here to express our unique nature, our unique self. You know, I've been doing these nakshatra readings where I talk about different nakshatras, and the Sun Nakshatra is the one that, the deity related to the Sun Nakshatra is the one that burns off all the impurities of the emotions and the body and all that other stuff. That's what the sun is trying to do in your natal chart, wherever your sun is, and you know, the Rashi and the Nakshatra, that's how you're trying to see through all of this. And so when the sun goes through Leo, it's a great opportunity for that higher sattvic light, that sattvic fire, that pure light that's not out to burn somebody. Again, you know, Mars can take pleasure, in fact, in burning and winning. And again, it's you know, to use the word sadistic, some people take pleasure in hurting others. That's the Mars. Again, it doesn't mean naturally Mars is going to take pleasure in that, but let's be honest. There's part of us that really likes to celebrate. Yeah, I really told him. Yeah, I really, he said this to me, but boy, you know, and Mars is part of us that enjoys that a little bit, right? We're all a little sadistic, you know, and we're all a little narcissistic and sadistic and enjoy winning sometime and talking about how we really told this person off and all that stuff. At least I do. That's why I like to get out there and play tennis and be competitive, because I get that out of my system. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so we all have that quality. That's Mars. It's not the sun. The sun would actually be the part of you that would be sitting back there going, boy, that's not right. The sun is the light, the warmth, the love, like the Father's love, protective, sacrificial, sacrificing our own happiness for the good of all. The sun doesn't feel good about that part. It's necessary evil sometime. We need to be cruel. We need to get in there and be harsh sometime. And the sun is cruel in that regard, because the sun will leave things. But the way the sun does it, again, is different than Mars. Mars will destroy something. The sun will not usually destroy. Well, it does destroy ignorance and reveals ignorance. But usually the way the sun operates is, when the sun is powerful especially, is it will kind of dismiss a person or a situation, just go, can't do it anymore. Now, hopefully it's not out of anger, but the other way that the sun operates is by dominating, literally, like by taking power and using it to dominate other person's power, like a dictator. But again, a dictator will use the army. but the dictator is not the army. The dictator is just the power. And the power can be used in many ways. It should be used for good, for everyone's benefit. So you want to just understand that the sun is just that inherent power. And we all inherently want to use our power for good, even dictators. They don't ever say, here, I'm now going to be a dictator and use my power for ill. They're going to tell you, they're going to wrap their power structure, they're going to wrap it in something righteous. They're going to use the language of sattvic language. All war from our leaders, our war is done in the name of truth, in the name of righteousness. It's a righteous war, holy war. Every war that's ever been fought has been a righteous, holy war to the people that are waging the war. Hitler never thought he was doing this horrible thing. He's saving the world from the scourge of the Jews or whatever it would be. He's returning the world to the Aryan supremacy. All dictators wrap their aggression in sattvic language. But this is a good thing to understand about the difficulty of sattvic energy, is it can be used to bypass, it can be used for rhetorical, propaganda and demagoguery, to demagogue issues and put things in this high light, high and mighty language, when underneath it all, it's just coercion. So this is an abuse of that sun energy, but you should see, again, that the sun isn't down there bare knuckle fighting. He's the one saying, oh no, it's this big thing, and guiding a message externally and internally. That's why you need to follow these great teachings, these great rishis. So that first section of the sun, or the first section of Leo is Magha. Then it goes into Purva Falguni. And this is a section where, again, we're the king, and the king is on the throne, and he's got the power. And again, how do we use that power? Purva Falguni, literally, it's symbolized by a bed. And here it's a wedding bed. It's a bed for pleasure, for sleep, but also mainly for pleasure here. This first nakshatra, this nakshatra is Bhagha, the god of delight, in Purva Falguni, the front legs of the bed. Purva Falguni, which is the god of delight and pleasure, which includes things like sexuality and, courtship. The king has to be surrounded by a lot of concubines and a lot of, hey, I'm the king, I can do what I want. And again, don't just think of a king. Think of someone who's king of their own world. Big famous person, rock star. That's a king. I do what I want. I'm surrounded by people that tell me how great I am. I got chicks all around. I can do what I want. I can do what I want with them, with anything. It's good to be king, and I get to enjoy it. Or, we can still enjoy the great things that come as a result of our sacrifice and energy. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it. But what is really virtuous and what's really in the highest spiritual sense, especially in this section of Leo, isn't how much we can get because we're powerful, but how much we can give. The simple metaphor is a good king is always going to be able to enjoy. He'll enjoy the trappings of being in that position. But the real powerful king gives away as much as he takes or more. He sees his power as an opportunity to give and to empower others, to empower the kingdom, to make others delight, to bring delight to others, not just himself. He's going to have plenty of opportunity to enjoy the praise, the money, the whatever advantage comes from being king. But if he starts being a bad king and abusing and just taking it all for himself, that also has a karmic price to pay. This is why you see a lot of people who abuse their power and abuse the people around them and who take all the power they have for themselves. Eventually, it catches up with them. They were given an advantage, they were given a benefit in this lifetime, and they took advantage of it and those around them. And instead of delighting in sharing the power they have, they delight in taking it from others. And the reason is because they don't know themselves. It's a lack of self-knowledge. Because now they're looking to be illuminated from outside rather than from inside. When we know ourselves, and again, I'm talking about this at a high level, this is a metaphor for your life as well. You have a certain amount of power. You have a certain amount of people who love you, care for you, and you have power over them. How do you use that power? Do you take advantage of them? Do you take all you can get from them? Or do you give what you can? All of us are king of something, even if it's not much. And we would like it to be more. And the reason we would like it to be more is because we're trying to become everything we can be. Don't fight your ambitions. Really, don't. Check in with the purity of what you want and all the power you want. Your power is a good thing. You should be powerful. You're here to be powerful. And this sun going through Leo is a time where you're going to notice how much power you have. Because I'll tell you this, if you don't feel powerful overall, then those ones in your life that you do have power over, you're probably going to abuse it at times. This is what happens when we don't feel powerful overall, or we don't feel like we're meeting our challenges and stepping up, because that's what the sun does. It's where we're willing to step up and be accountable and sacrifice and stand for something. And if we're not willing to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to take it out on all the people that we have power over, who are below us. Simple example would be like with work. You know, most of us at work, we had people that were beneath us and people that were above us. We have a boss and we have a certain amount of power over some people. We're like in the middle. And you'll see where the person might be really phony for their boss. Okay. Underneath it all, they're seething. And you'll see them be nasty to the people below them. Or people go to work where they have no power. They come home and abuse their family, abuse the dog, abuse the kid, because they're frustrated power. And again, they're identified with their separateness. They're not identified with the soul. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of job you have. People can have any job, any kind of power structure in their life. If they understand consciousness and they're connected to spirit, and these practices, whatever job they're doing or whatever, they'll have a perspective. They'll see the dignity in that sacrifice. And that's the power of the sun. For example, a father who is sacrificing for his family, even if he's a janitor or trash man or CEO of a company or working in a restaurant or whatever he's doing, it doesn't matter what the job is. He will feel fulfilled as a man or as a person. That sun part of him will feel fulfilled because the sun is the part that's willing to sacrifice for something higher, for his kingdom, which might be his family. That's the first family, or that's the first kingdom most of us have, is our family. Doing what's right for our family. Look at how much effort and energy we put into this. That's why I said that at the beginning. Many of us are here to try to outlive our legacy and create our own. So again, someone who has a family to take care of, they will often sacrifice their own dreams and desires to provide for the family. But that's their sun, that's their kingdom, that's their sacrifice, and they will usually feel good about it. At least that part of it. Maybe they won't feel good about they're still aspiring to some other kind of work and career, but they're going to be fulfilled in that sun part of their life, because that's what the sun is trying to do. Not take all the money not take all of it for themselves. A selfish way, like for example, this Purva Falguni, maybe in a more difficult way, would be to say, I got this much power, even though I created this family. I'm not going to take the power I have and use it to take care of the kingdom, to take care of the family. I'm going to leave and go pursue my own thing and let the family figure it out for themselves. Screw it. I'm out of here. That would be an example. And by the way, I'm not saying that if people have a planet here, that's what they're going to do or something. Don't take it that literally. I'm just using these as examples. But Purva Falguni is that section of Leo where we're tested to see what do we do with our power. We have a certain power that's conferred to us at the beginning of our life, as seen in Magha Nakshatra. Throughout our life, we're trying to create and connect with a more pure level of what is my real power? Where did I really inherit my power? From my family or from the universe? Where does my true power lie? That's Magha. And then Purva Falguni is, now what do I do with that power? Do I share it? How do I share it? Do I keep it? It's good to be king. The heck with it. I have my concubines, or I have my whatever. In a lesser way, it's like, well, I want to do what I want to do. And, the heck with the kingdom. Or we're somewhere in between where we feel frustrated because we're now sacrificing for this family and they don't even appreciate it. And so we're angry at them. And again, this conundrum of Purva Falguni and Bhagha, the god of delight, who wants to delight in the world. And then the last, and so again, the sun will then keep going, and he'll be in Purva Falguni from, so he starts in Purva Falguni from August 30th, from August 30th until September 13th. So from August 30th to September 13th, it's in Purva Falguni. Again, that's the front legs of the bed. And again, the Falgunis are very much about pleasure, like sexual pleasure, courtship, and then in Uttara Falguni, we take that pleasure and make it like official. Literally, like instead of courtship, where, ooh, she's cute, he's hot, yeah, let's date, yeah, we like each other. Now let's make it official. Let's get married. Let's have it be official thing. And that's Uttara Falguni, which is ruled by Aryaman, the god of contracts and official business, where we form an agreement. And you see, this is where Leo becomes Virgo. And again, this is where all that power of the kingdom gets delegated into all of these tasks. A kingdom doesn't run very well if the king doesn't know how to delegate, if he doesn't know how to get anything done, if he doesn't know how to manage. And management is not about big vision. It's about delegation. And the first part of delegation is setting up good agreements. And in the Vedas, the god of this nakshatra, Aryaman, is often paired with the god called Mitra, who is the god of friendship and friendliness. Of course, because one of the most important things about a good contract is that there's cooperation and there's friendship and there's friendliness. And there's cooperation. And you're just as concerned that the other guy is going to win, that you win. You don't want to do a contract where somebody's just trying to bend you over and take advantage of you. Nobody wants that contract. And if you think you want that kind of a contract because you're going to get more and you're going to get over on the other guy, you're just being a fool. That's not good business practice, because it's just going to create more headache, can lead to lawsuits. You're trying to take advantage of somebody. It's going to hurt everybody. Now, again, if we're not a good king and we're just trying to rapaciously take everything because, well, I'm the powerful one, so I'll just take advantage of you, then we think that's a good thing to do. Well, I'm the one with the power, so I'll just make a contract where I'll give you the least amount I can, and if you don't like it, so what? Well, that's not going to work, because if you have a contract like that, let's say, then how motivated is that person going to be to do good work? And that person's going to skim off the top. That person's not going to like you. You're taking advantage of them. They're going to try to take advantage of you. So people who do business this way wind up not just not having a good reputation, but not building good alliances. So again, Uttara Falguni Nakshatra is this awareness that to have a high vision. Again, it's still in Leo, the first part. The second part is Virgo, where there's more details. But the first part is to understand, no, I want them to win too. I have this power, and I'm fortunate and blessed that I can find someone to help organize this for all of our good. It's going to make the kingdom better. They're going to be happy. That will spread. it's a sattvic sign. Leo is a sattvic sign, wanting to do good for everyone, and understanding that when I win and you win, it's not even just like two of us win, but it ripples out, because now you're going to pass on a good word, and it's going to just make everything better. And so, but that awareness, that sort of buttoned down practical awareness, that we need to codify this power and into an agreement, so that we can magnify the power of the kingdom and have more people benefit from it, etc. Like getting married so we can have children and a house and a happy life. Again, that's the simple personal way that we can experience this transition from Leo, where we have a certain power, then we want to share it, again, even with another person, and build a legacy and a family. First, we need to find someone we like and who delights us in Purva Falguni. Then we want to make it official in Uttara Falguni. And again, we want them to be happy too. We don't want to be like, okay, as long as I'm, benefiting, that's cool. She's good looking, he's hot, whatever. He's got a lot of money, or she's good looking, but I'm the powerful one here. So make her sign a prenup. And if she doesn't like it, the heck with her. I'll get rid of her if she doesn't stay in line. This stuff happens all the time, by the way. And how well do those marriages work, where people are not as concerned about the other person's happiness as our own? So again, when we don't know ourselves and we're just trying to get something and extract power and pleasure from life and people, we make bad contracts. Again, it's better to not get married than to get married in some situation where there's all these imbalances. Again, it can go with men or women. Women do it too. Men do it. Men exploit for this, women exploit for that, and not really looking at a good agreement and making sure that, are you really happy? Is this really going to be happy? Like, again, it's short-sighted to think that, well, I'm happy and, she seems kind of happy. So, I don't know if I don't want to say that. I don't know if I want to talk about that too much. I guess she'll figure it out. No. You should make sure you're not going to be happy eventually. If somebody's not happy, it's going to be a bigger problem later and harder one to undo. And it's going to create a mess of your kingdom, of your money. You're now joining forces here in Uttara Falguni. So we see Uttara Falguni from like the 13th, September 13th, 14th, 15th, and then the sun goes into Virgo. So to summarize, this sun going through Leo, very powerful time for returning to your power and returning your light. And how much power you have in your life is going to be an issue. It's going to be a theme, right? It's going to be a theme in your life. And notice how in areas where you feel powerful, you're generous. You're generous with that power that flows easily from you. And in those situations where you're not, where you don't have power or control over certain things, then you can be hostile and abusive in certain ways. And it's actually in taking care of your kingdom, in taking care of your vision and purpose, that you learn how to be more gracious with the power you have. I mean, I'll admit it's been a big lesson for me, for sure. I had a lot of anger and frustration. Some of it is age, but some of it is just also in general. Even when I started my astrology practice, doing my practice and teaching and all this really taught me about learning how to manage my anger and frustration better. Because people, I had experiences where when I first started, I would get frustrated about something that didn't go well. And I would, be nasty about it, or someone would, you get a lot of projections and you can't really fight back as much. You have to just kind of keep a higher vision. And in places, just like parents are with children, if parents held children to be responsible for the level of maturity that the parent is at, they wouldn't be good parents. When children are younger and they call you names and they say all this stuff, we're tolerant because we have a bigger vision. We're supposed to be tolerant to have a bigger vision. Same is true if you start holding space for people as an astrologer or a counselor or something like that, when they if they get triggered or they get upset and they like dump or vent or do something at you, you can't just meet it. You can't just get in some argument with them like that. That's not, you can't do it. You have to hold a higher space. And, you know, I didn't know that. And again, part of it is because doing this kind of work or doing any kind of work where you're in a higher space within yourself, you have to step into that part of yourself because you're not there yet. And I wasn't there yet. But what taught me, again, what you learn, and what I learned was a great lesson, and I've still had to learn it, where those who respected me more than I respected myself told me. I got frustrated, I remember, with someone, and to my benefit, I don't make those terrible mistakes usually more than once. If I get it, I get it. And because I genuinely feel bad, and I genuinely realize that I made a huge mistake, and I'll apologize and I'll mean it, and the person knows I mean it, and I don't usually do it again. But I remember with someone, they just dumped all over me after a reading. And I just dumped right back. I'm like, oh yeah, well, you're blah, blah, blah. And I just like, you know, it's ugly, you know. And, you know, the person responded back. They said, you know, I really held you in high regard. I really appreciated, you know, I really respected you. And I really respected you as an astrologer, as someone who's representing these teachings. And I can't believe you're this type of person. And you really, you know, they just, you know, you really, you know, destroyed my faith, not only in you, but in these Vedic teachings. All you teachers are the same. You're all phonies and all this. It was just like, I mean, I was like, oh my God. It was hard. It's hard to hear. And I sat with it, and I was like, she's right. And what I realized, first of all, what happened, I didn't realize that people were holding me in that high regard. I didn't have the respect for myself that she had for me. She had more respect for me than I did for myself. And I, you know, came from a place that was lower than she thought. Again, quite frankly, I mean, you know, she got angry about things that got really triggered and kind of dumped it on me. And then I dumped it back. And I could have just said, yeah, well, you're still this or that. You started it or whatever. I could have kept arguing. But what happened is a higher thing in me was like, I wasn't used to seeing myself that way. I wasn't used to being held in high regard as a representative of Vedic teaching or whatever all that is. I didn't see myself that way. And that reflection back made me go, Sam, if you're going to do this, you need to step into something else, or don't do this. You can't accomplish what you imagine in this same degraded, triggered state of mind that you're in. If you're going to go back and forth and fight with people who, whatever reason, they're wrong or whatever it is, then you need to do something else. That was a long time ago. I mean, that I'd probably, you know, it was the first year I was doing readings. And and again, I was also, you know, we were all just sort of getting used to the internet and doing all this stuff. This was like 2002, 2003. It was a long time ago. And, but so again, this is the sun. The reason, and it taught me and showed me that the reason we don't accomplish as much as we think we deserve is because of this stuff. And again, and I don't mean getting triggered or whatever. I mean seeing ourselves actually embodying what we want. We're embodying exactly what we are along this scale. I was embodying that much of the sun, and that's the sun part of me. And I was at that time only embodying so much of it. And that whole, my capacity and ability to embody that affected everything, because I only had the same amount of ambition and the same amount of drive and the same amount of consistency and consistent vision and purpose, because I didn't really see myself that way. I was trying it and I was good at doing readings and all, but I was still like kind of grappling with, what am I doing here, especially psychologically and emotionally, and hadn't really stepped into, this is the way you have to, this is the person that you need to be in order to create this vision, or to express this thing that you love. And the reason, again, so much of my personal growth and my son being elevated beyond the mess it can be is because I love this work, and it was something bigger for me than just, trying to be happy or whatever else it was before. And this kind of work demanded that I change and I transform and I step into a greater level of responsibility and clarity and vision and whatnot. And I'm sharing this personal story because that's how the sun and our responsibilities and duties teach us. The sun teaches us by first revealing, he shows the truth. It's like, this is where you are. This is how attached you are to your separate self. All it takes is someone in an email to criticize you, and you're right in there fighting like a lunatic. Do you want to do something big? Do you want to connect with a higher part of yourself? Then you need to do it. You need to connect with a higher part of yourself and look at the bigger vision. And especially when she said, I really held you in high regard as a representative of these teachings and all of this, I was like, oh God, it's horrible. And I called her, and I definitely got emotional and cried, and and apologized profusely and said, you're right, and I really appreciate you telling me this, and I'm really sorry, and whatever. But it's quite hard to see this about ourselves. And this is how the sun is cruel, because the sun will reveal those things. But he reveals something so that you can step into a greater embodiment of the power and of the light that you hold. We're all light beings and light bearers, and we're carrying a certain amount of light. And the sun is the part of it that just wants to illuminate. And I just wanted to illuminate. And I did illuminate, but I still had I was still too identified with that person who was getting attacked or whatever it might have been. And, frankly, I'm not perfect now either. None of us are. But at least incrementally, and in those, as a growth process, of course, the sun has elevated that part, not just of me, but I'm sharing this because we all have seen that. You've seen that before in your life as well. Perfect example is when parents have kids. At first, they don't think they're equipped at all. They're like, what am I going to do? I haven't done this before. But the child demands that you step into a higher level of responsibility. Just the child will make you do it. Just their appearance, because you love them more than you love your current state of comfort, or your current state of, I'm this and I'm going to defend this and I'm this and I'm capable of this. Again, the sun is like also capability and ability and confidence to do something. Children come in and love, in fact, love will undermine your confidence in everything. You're like, I'm not sure I can do this. But if there's pure love there for something, like my pure love for these teachings, my pure love for, sharing all of this was bigger than I'm going to be right, I'm going to win, this is what it was about. And this kind of, potential to be like a dictator and not share the power I have, but share a certain amount. I can share a certain amount, but if you come at me, I'm coming back at you. All that stuff. That's not the sun. That's not the highest sun. And we all know we're playing smaller than we can. We all know we're playing smaller than we're capable of. And wherever we are with that sun and that capacity to act in accordance with what we know is right, not just what we feel confident that we can accomplish. Because again, whatever you're confident in, You're just confident in things you've already done. That's all confidence is I've been here, I'm confident I can get through this again. But the next thing is beyond your confidence level, beyond your comfort zone. That's the challenge. And that's what the sun is trying to get to. Well, what about that thing? Well, the only way we get to that thing is we act in accordance to what we know is right. Is this the right thing to do? Yes. How do I accomplish it? I don't know. I'll figure it out somehow. Again, this is what parents do, right? But I'm going to do the best for my kids, or at least try. I'm going to try. And then we get through it. And so this is the evolving process of the sun, to not just be acting in accordance with what we're confident in, but with our vision. Just like I was with in the anecdote I shared, I didn't know. I wasn't confident in not fighting against people criticizing me or whatever all that was about. So it's like, if I'm going to do this, I have to learn how to not do that. And I prayed a lot. Please help me deal with it. Help me step into a higher version of myself. Help me get through this, rather than just acting in accordance with what I'm already comfortable with. So that's how love, in general, love expands us and connects us to something beyond just our current state of confidence, competence. And now I still, anything that's outside my comfort zone, what you can get to is this, is if I know it's right, I'll do it. And I have the confidence that I can figure it out. I don't have the confidence necessarily what I'm going to do yet, but I'm confident that I can at least figure it out, because now I've gone through it enough. I've been outside my comfort zone enough now that something that I know is right, even if I don't know how I'm going to get to it, I'm confident that I can figure it out. Just start doing it and you'll be able to get there. So maybe try that on. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you to hear about the sun going through Leo. And again, you see that scrolling at the bottom there, the nodes in Taurus, Scorpio. Check that out. It's free web class. Again, the nodes are about to move and go into Taurus, with Rahu in Taurus and Ketu in Scorpio. So that'll be important shift, and it's a free web class.